The authorities in Johannesburg say they have intensified their efforts to tackle the issue of hijacked buildings in Johannesburg. City of Johannesburg Member of the Mayoral Committee for Public Safety, Mgcini Tshwaku, led a multi-agency team to raid a Zambezi building last night. 4 people of interest were taken in for questioning. Tshwaku says there are decent families in the building, but a few bad apples are trying to exploit the situation. We've roped in a specialized security and investigations expert, Mike Bolhuis. Mike, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. The murder of Warwick Stock, also known as DJ Warris, because he was so vocal against hijacked buildings, has again highlighted, just the criminal networks operating through these hijacked buildings across Johannesburg, stretching out, of course, into other parts of the country. Just how organized are the syndicates behind these hijacked buildings, Mike? Are we dealing with opportunist criminals or sophisticated crime networks here?
All three. But let me say from the beginning, this is such a crime-ridden country. We've got the hearings, we've got the corruption in the government and the generals, etc., etc. And then we have this. And we tend to forget that this is a long-standing problem and is just as huge and problematic as the others, because this affects the poorest of the poor, the public, the innocent. And as you very well have said, there are so many house hijackings, buildings, businesses, hijackings that are taken over by a few bad apples. And they are blatant criminals, but they are syndicates and they are organized crime criminals. That's what they do. They have their connections, they have muscle, they have guns, and they will, in this case, usually they sort out this problem with extreme intimidation and extortion and violence, but they will go to a level by shooting. And, it's become the narrative in South Africa that if there's a huge problem, we've seen it. We've seen it on government level, in the extreme authorities, everywhere, that they take the people that is a problem out by a gun. This is the year of the gun.
You've raised some key points. Of course, we know that this is not only a commercial kind of crime, but it also affects individuals in terms of houses. So let's talk about the raid then. The city of Johannesburg says it's intensifying its operations, including, of course, last night's raid on the Zambezi building. Do these raids meaningfully disrupt syndicates?
Well, it did now, but why wasn't it done years ago? Why wasn't it done when the complaints came in from so many people? Why did a celebrity, a well-known guy, and we see it all over in all the cases in South Africa, once a very well-known guy or a specific person dies in this way, then suddenly the police jumps on it. I'm congratulating them and I'm saying thank you. But the problem is this has been going on for years, especially in Johannesburg. And there has been so many complaints. We've been contacted so many times. We've done so many cases there with interdicts and with the authorities and the police are dead scared of these guys. Let me tell you, these raids should have been done years ago, because raids are done by several police units, which is extremely weaponed and capable. But the normal local police station, let me tell you, our whole history shows where we've been operating there, and many other authorities, they are scared to get involved.
Yeah, and we know that in this case with this Zambezi building that 4 persons of interest have been taken in. How do these syndicates identify and target buildings, particularly those that are linked to deceased estates or absentee owners? These are just some of the questions that, as you've also said, that this has been going on for years, that people want to seek information on. Do you think that these 4 persons of interest are likely to shed some light?
Well, maybe. We can't speculate, but at least they've got some people and they might get some information. But that's a huge problem on its own, is an information infrastructure. You won't get that easily. You won't get pumps and you won't get intelligence from an area like Johannesburg, because they are killed. They are definitely will be killed if they become problematic with extreme information. There are three reasons why people are killed. One is extreme emotions. One is money, if there's interference in money. And I'm talking about gangs now or organized crime criminals, racketeering. And then thirdly is if you have too much information, that is to the detriment of the criminals. But my concern is far greater than that, is that this is such a payable crime. This is such a easy crime. These buildings are identified, as you've said. These criminals aren't stupid. They are checking out, and they've got their own informants. And then once they hijack a building, they take the whole building over and everybody pays them. I forgot to mention that. Maybe 20 guys operating together. They've got muscle, guns, everything. They're brilliant. And they just take the whole 500 people that stays there, and they will pay them. And the owner and anything else that comes in the place gets intimidated. They take over the power, the water, the protection, you name it.
Yeah, and sometimes intimidation can lead to fatality. But Mike, you raise a point about corruption. I mean, we've heard allegations of, for instance, on the one hand, of forged title deeds and even alleged assistance from inside the deeds office for one. Without this internal corruption, this assistance, could these syndicates survive?
Yeah, they can. They just do that because they want to try and make it as legit as possible, because many people go to courts. Many people go to a court, unfortunately, and the courts is a slow-go judicial system. It just cannot, first of all, deal with all the cases that comes in. And what does the interdicts in the end of the day help? It's just a document. It has to be properly be executed by the parties that get this interdict, or any other court answer. Whatever they receive from the courts must be executed in some way so that there's success. And how do they do it? They have to rely on the local police. And that's where corruption comes in as well, because they're scared. I don't blame a scared policeman today, because the possibility of them being shot and killed, or even pulled in and also bribed, is much greater than them being successful to remove these criminals. And remember, they're brazen. And as I've said before now, it's all the more the narrative now. We've seen it with many shootings and killings now. This is how it's going to go. And our country and our authority, unfortunately, is not respected and feared. So we have to start somewhere, and hopefully with these hearings, and hopefully with a changeover in complete authority and governance, there might be some form of protect and serve really going through the local police stations.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, especially, with frustration, especially when we talk about houses, that have been hijacked, are finding it so difficult to reclaim their property. You talk about this coordinated effort from these syndicates. Could that not be fought with coordination between the various law enforcement authorities, coordination between SAPS, Home Affairs, the Deeds Office, municipalities, even the justice system, prosecutors?
It could, but it's not done. Remember, the whole system protects the criminal. You cannot just not go. We do many of these cases, and we're very successful with it, but it comes with a cost, because we many a times are being queried by the authorities. If we see a hijacked home and we appoint it, we remove those people and we remove them physically. But you know what they do? They go to the authorities. They sell drugs there, they do prostitution, they commit cybercrime, extortion, sextortion, extreme extortion, violence. They completely break the house or place or building. And then we go physically and we remove them, and guess what? Who's before us is the authorities, actually wanting to arrest us. And then we have to communicate this and negotiate, and fortunately every and all times we are successful. But this is not supposed to be. So the government, and as you've said, all the authorities must bring in a change that the criminal must not be protected. He must be identified as a criminal, and if there's a house hijacking, it's a crime in itself. It's not alleged. He's there. And if he's just usurped or taken a house, the courts are so scared of just issuing eviction order. It's unbelievable. Sometimes it takes years. And as you've said, the frustration is so high that many people take the go to kangaroo court or do their own thing or make plans or get heavies to intervene.
Yeah.
And it just creates so much more disarray and crime because, you know, crime begets crime.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people are asking themselves, when is it going to move from just being a housing issue to, you know, a full-blown organized crime issue? But Mike, that's all the time we have this afternoon, unfortunately. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Mike Bolhuis is a security and investigations crime expert there for us.